Defied my parents' absurd rules while sick, they kicked me out, and now they're desperately begging for my return. Last week, I, 22F, was kicked out of my family's home for not following the rules and being disrespectful towards my parents. I was sick last week with strep throat, but I honestly think that it was like a cold or something because I felt completely fine and the antibiotics made me feel worse. Not the point here, but I was sick and I stayed home from work because I didn't want anyone else getting sick. I work with kids, and I had this terrible neck ache that was spreading to my head. I couldn't hold my head up without a hand on it to massage the pain. That's how bad we're talking. So I told them that I was staying home because I was sick and they weren't happy about it, but I'm a grown-ass woman and if I can't work, I'm not going. My job demands a lot of sitting, walking, talking, etc. I couldn't really do much except shuffle around awkwardly with my hands on my neck every 10 seconds. So my dad comes into my room not even 10 minutes later and tells me that I am required to help around the house and that I wasn't allowed to have my boyfriend over, and if I wanted to see him, I would have to drive myself over to his house. I told him I wasn't doing anything like that I was sick and in pain and I needed to rest. If I was feeling better and wanted to see my boyfriend, he was most likely going to come here because I can't drive with that pain in my neck being so bad. He argued with me saying how I'm lazy and started comparing my pain to his and how he still got up and went to work when he wasn't feeling well in the army. I told him that this wasn't the army, he's not my drill sergeant, and he needs to let me rest, so please get out of my room. Then my mom comes in to yell at me saying I have until 11 o'clock to be up and out of bed and ready to help around the house, or she was going to drag me out of bed and force me to do work. I again calmly told her no. I am not feeling well. I need to rest, so I will be resting for the remainder of the day or until I start feeling better. She then said no. You are going to be up by 10:45 and you are going to help around the house with all the chores that need to be done. I'll admit I start getting angry here because I raised my voice and said I am sick with strep. Unless you want strep, I suggest that you please let me rest. She got all huffy and said she would be back at 10:45 to get me out of bed. We'll skip ahead to the end of the day when I started feeling better and I wasn't in as much pain as I was in the morning. I was up and tidying where I sit in the living room to play my video games. I was texting my boyfriend and he said to guess where he was, and I was like, this man is outside my house, isn't he? And I check, sure enough there is his car, parked on the street. This is important, trust me, so I go outside to say hi to him for a second. We're both standing out on the street in front of the house and my BF is massaging my neck a little bit. My dad comes out maybe 5 minutes after I initially did, tells me that my boyfriend has to leave and he has less than a minute to do so. I asked if he was serious right now because we weren't even on the property. We were standing on the street. My dad reiterated that he was serious and that he had made a rule and that I needed to follow it. I said his rule was stupid and that I'm a grown-ass woman. My dad said 1 minute and walked away. My boyfriend told me just to stay calm and that they literally can't tell me what to do anymore because I'm an adult. So I go back inside and both my parents try to confront me about my behavior and I just calmly said no, I don't want to talk to you right now. Boyfriend just came to see how I was doing and gave me a pair of pants and they said they didn't care that I didn't want to talk. They wanted to talk and I again said no, thank you. I'm going to bed since I have work in the morning. Good night. They then followed me into the hallway leading to my room and forced their way into my bedroom doorway, after I repeatedly told them to please leave me alone. After some arguing my dad said we just want what's best for you, but if you don't want to listen then you need to find some place else to live. And I just stayed silent because I wasn't going to argue. Then my mom shoved her way into my room. She stared yelling at me to sit down and listen and I told her no. She pushed me in my shoulder and said sit your little ass down and listen. And I again told her no. I was already reaching for the phone at this point and trying to call my boyfriend and she tried intimidating me saying he's not going to deal with you anymore. He's going to see your true colors and he's going to bring you back here. I got angry at that and after calling him, getting into a screaming match with my mom while on the phone with him, she told me get out. You need to leave. And I punched a wall. She then said oh my god. We should have her committed. She's insane. I would have laid my hands on her to show her insane, but I'm not one to stoop to their level. It's wrong I know, but she laid hands first and she was almost asking for a reaction out of me. Unlike her though I have self-control over my emotions. So I packed most of my clothes into different bags and left the house. That was Monday, September 9th, which was also mine and my boyfriend's anniversary, so it makes sense why he wanted to come see me. I have been back once with my cousin to get the rest of my sweaters and the stuff out of a cube organizer. My parents have texted me a couple times asking to talk and hoping that I'm okay and that they miss me, but I've ignored all contact with them unless it was regarding my dog that I had taken with me for the weekend. Now they're sending family members to check in on me and try to find out where I'm at and try to get my side of the story out of me, but there really isn't much else to tell and I really just don't want to focus on any of that negativity when I've already started feeling better since I've left. I'm currently looking for a permanent place to live in / near my city so I can be close to work, friends, and school. Update 1. Wanted to provide some clarification on certain things. 1. My family is Hispanic and my mom is very authoritarian. It's her way or the highway. I don't want to get into it because this will be a very long post and I want to keep this shorter than my original. 2. Regarding money and bank accounts, I am working on getting my money out. I am going to head to the bank today, 9:20, after work and work on getting it closed after withdrawing all the money. I was also going to sell my car and use the money to buy a little scooter since I am now responsible for all my medical and car insurance bills, but I am just going to get the cheapest options and hope for the best. I was only selling my car because I was still living at home at the time. 3. I am currently living with my boyfriend, and on the weekends I'll be staying with my aunt about 30 minutes from my city. 4. I have a tour scheduled for a 1-bedroom shared bath today after work and an apartment tomorrow at 3, both in my area and close to work. 5. I want to thank you all for the support you have given me and those who have reached out privately, even more so. Thank you so much. I only have 5 people supporting me IRL RN, and they're the only family who believe me. My parents ended up turning my little brother against me, and that feeling sucks ass. The feeling is indescribable. Last week he was on my side and this week is the polar opposite. 6. Attached are the screenshots of the things they said when I didn't come back home right away. Update 2. I realized while reading the original post again that I didn't actually include the way my parents tried to get me back into their house with them, so I'll start there. Please forgive me if this is a little all over the place. I've been very stressed and my memory in that time was kind of foggy. So about a week after I was kicked out, I went back to the house with my cousin, who offered to help and go with me. We only went to get the rest of my clothes and some other things I wanted to bring with me to my aunt's house. I was still really stressed and not feeling the greatest because of it, and I didn't end up cleaning out what I wanted to clean out from the bins I brought. Anyways, that's off topic. When I went to get all that stuff, my dad let us in and tried to give me a hug, but I didn't let him. Context: they use hugs as a way to kind of get you to listen to what they have to say. They'll hug you and whisper into your ear like, "I'm sorry about all this happening, please come back / forgive me, it won't happen again." So I don't hug them after fights because I hate dealing with that. So I packed up my things, and as I was packing up, my little brother and cousin were talking about the situation and my brother's school life. He's graduating high school this year and I work at his high school. Then my mom came home and basically stormed into my old room and looked at us all like frowned before saying hello to my brother and cousin. I didn't get a hello, but for the sake of being polite and not starting anything with her, I said hello very flatly, no emotion behind it. She hates when I do that BTW, she thinks I'm being an a-hole when I talk like that. She didn't say anything, just huffed and walked away. Both my parents kept coming into the room and staring at me, my dad with sadness and regret in his eyes, my mom with anger. Once I got everything packed away, I asked about the dog and ended up taking him back to my friend's house with me. Side note, Pupper did not like being away from home and he was so stressed about the situation that he got sick while I was staying with my aunt, so I took him back to my parents' house. He's been doing better since, just very itchy, which is normal for him around this time of year, so I got everything all packed and then I went to get in the car with my cousin and my parents. Tried talking to me several times and I told them I wasn't ready to talk to them. Yet they insisted, and while I was sat in the car they came back up, opened the door, which was closed, and started apologizing. Saying that they loved me and they missed me and they've been a wreck since the whole thing occurred, and my mom started saying how she wasn't sure why I hated her so much since she's done nothing but support me in anything I've wanted to do. Her support was just a lot of criticisms when I told her about things I was passionate about. Cosmetology was a big one. I wanted to do hair for a short period of time during the pandemic because that's all I had to keep myself occupied aside from video games. I didn't say anything as they both told me how much they loved me and how they missed me and how they've been a mess / wreck without me there. Anyways, I have the whole things on video and I really hate that they do that to me. I ended up staying with my cousin's girlfriend that night at her apartment. Then my dad started texting me almost non-stop for the next 5 minutes about insurance things and how they missed me back at home and how it was good to see me and they hoped I was doing well and taking care of myself and how I always have a home with them. So to finish off this update, I'm going to rapid fire what's been going on since then. I went back to my aunt's house to go through all my things and see how I could fit it all into my car. I did a damn good job fitting all that in there TBH, stayed with my boyfriend for another week to be closer to work and told him about my original post. He agreed with a lot of your guys' suggestions, but said that I need to also take all comments with a grain of salt. BC something that works for me might not work for someone else and vice versa. I read him some of the hate comments too and he got very huffy about people being stupid. I agreed, ended up moving in with my grandparents temporarily and had my mail flow transferred over there. I did get the mail I was asking for in my last little update. After moving in with grandparents, I sat down with my parents and had a real talk with them. I told them that what they did was wrong, that I am not a child and they had absolutely no reason to treat me the way they did. They shouldn't have forced their way into my bedroom to argue with me, and they should have just let me rest like I needed because being up and about was not going to make me feel better, especially if I had to entertain or stay off my phone to talk to the aunt I didn't even know was going to be coming over. I explained that I was sick, and I wasn't feeling good and I didn't want to see anyone that was coming over because of it. I then told them that they have been doing this for years and they need to understand that it's just not going to work that way anymore and that they need to be okay with the fact that I'm trying to grow up and they are trying to hold me back. They agreed and they said that they were sorry if I felt that way, they can see where I'm coming from and they shouldn't have acted that way. There were some things we agreed on and some things we didn't agree on in the moment. We've since revisited since we're on speaking terms now. Regardless, they said that I should give some thought about where I'm going to be staying so I can get to work on time. Talk to my younger brother about what he had sent me, read the text to my parents and they actually told him that he needed to apologize because he had no right to be saying that to me. He tried fighting back with, but it's true. She needs a day's notice. And my dad looked at him and said, yeah, to show up at the house. She doesn't need a day's notice to ask about male dude. And my brother was like, oops. So yeah, we apologized to each other and kind of left it at that. We still don't talk much, but we never really have. He wants me to chaperone his homecoming dance since it'll be pretty cool. IDK about all that yet. Got sick again since I didn't finish the first round of antibiotics. Plot twist, it was strep LMFAU. The doctor gave me something different since the amoxicillin was hurting my stomach and not having the same effect this time around since I've been taking it a lot this year. Been sick a lot lol, saw my boyfriend again for the first time in a week as of this post. I spent the night at his house and we ended up playing Animal Crossing all night. Did a lot of homework and regular work. Being sick doesn't mean the grind stops. Even if I missed a day or two for actual work and had to leave early the rest of the time, I pushed through as best I could and I'm proud of myself for that. I still haven't talked to my older brother about the phone call we had where he told me that he can't deal with all this and that if I needed his help I knew where to find him. He's checked in on me once since then, but I only said working since that is what I was doing. So yeah, that's about it for now. I was supposed to hear back from a possible apartment, never did, so I'm taking the L on that. Update 3. I wasn't planning on writing another one this soon, but so much happened in like 3 days that my brain is still playing catch up, and if I don't write it out I'm going to forget the order. I'm also not trying to rehash everything again, so I'm just going to pick up from where it got weird and go from there. So first, I finally went to the bank after work like I said I would and got everything switched over. I thought it was going to be a hassle and it kind of was because my old account had some weird auto transfers I didn't set up, and the teller had to call someone to remove a relationship hold on it because apparently someone added my mom's number as an authorized contact a long time ago when I was like 17, I don't even remember that happening. It took forever, but I walked out with a cashier's check and a brand new baby account at a different bank that they can't sniff out for muscle memory. I set up direct deposit on my phone in the parking lot because I didn't trust myself to do it tomorrow. I also called the phone company and got myself off the family plan, which was hilarious because the rep asked to speak to the account owner and I was like, yeah, it's me now, and he goes, oh, so you're emancipating your line, and I started laughing for the first time all day. He gave me a temporary number just in case my mom tried to lock it. He wasn't wrong. I got like 5 screen time request notifications I never set up as soon as I hit leave family sharing. Those disappeared after I made a new Apple ID. So that's done. My tracking is off. No more random "why were you at Target?" texts in the middle of my Tuesday. Anyway, my grandpa told me to grab all my legal docs while I was at it and I said okay, but I didn't have them with me because I honestly thought they were in my desk at my old room. They weren't. They were in one of my mom's important stuff binders, which is code for if you ever need it you better ask me first and listen to a lecture. My grandma pulled the most abuela move of all time and called me to meet her at the Catholic store by the laundromat and slipped me a manila envelope like we were doing a drug deal. I opened it in my car and it was my birth certificate, social, immunization card, my passport, and even the little certificate from when I got baptized that's got the gold stamp on it. She goes, "Don't say I gave it to you," and then tells me she got it out of the sewing basket because who puts passports next to buttons? My grandma is a real one. I almost cried in the car, and then I pulled myself together and went to work. And work was fine until it wasn't. I ended up saying yes to chaperoning my brother's homecoming because he asked again and he did that little half smile he does when he's trying not to look like he cares, and it made me soft. I know. I set rules with him though. I said I'm going to do my job, I'm not your personal Uber, and we are not doing any family reunions in the parking lot. He said he understood. He actually thanked me, which shocked me because he's been weird ever since he texted me that mess. Fast forward to the night of. I'm in my black, I'm the adult boots with my staff lanyard, and we're doing wristbands and checking bags, and it's kind of cute seeing everyone all dressed up and nervous. Around 8:30 I step outside with one of the other staff to cool off because the gym is hot and immediately see my dad's truck idling near the curb. My stomach dropped. I took a breath and told myself maybe he's just dropping off my brother late friends or something. Then my mom got out of the passenger side in like a church outfit with a cardigan and that angry walk she has, and I knew it wasn't a drop-off. I was on school property, on the clock, so I kept it professional. I walked to the security guy, told him those are my parents, we have a situation, I need them not to come in or try to talk to me while I'm working. He nodded, did his job, went up and told them they couldn't be on campus unless they were picking up a student and they needed to wait in the designated area. My dad was actually okay. He said of course officer and started to back the truck up. My mom did the thing where she smiles tight and says we're just here to talk to our daughter and then looks for me like I'm a toddler in a grocery store. I didn't make eye contact. I went back inside and started helping with the coat check so I had something to do with my hands. My Apple Watch started lighting up with "call me right now" and "come outside right now," and then a voicemail popped up, and then my brother's friend comes up to me with big eyes and goes, "Oh, your mom is live on Facebook in the parking lot," which like okay, I didn't even want to know. The SRO ended up escorting them off property after she tried to walk past the table and into the cafeteria saying I'm her mother. I saw it through the tiny window in the door. My dad looked embarrassed. She looked furious. I was just tired. The funny part is my brother didn't know they were going to pull that, and he actually found me on the dance floor later and hugged me quick and said I told them not to. He looked like a kicked puppy, and for the first time since all this blew up, it felt like it was him and me on the same side again. I told him thanks for telling me and to go have fun with his friends. He did. He also asked if I could take a picture of him and his date, and I did, and it came out cute. When I left the school at 10:30, the SRO offered to walk me to my car just in case, and I took him up on it. The parking lot was empty. No truck. No cardigan. The sky felt big and quiet. I slept like trash after because my phone kept lighting up. They were voice to text ranting about how humiliating it was to be treated like criminals by your work, how I could have avoided this if I just came to the car for 5 minutes. Then it pivoted to we saw your grandma gave you the documents, which. Okay, so my mom watched my grandma? I texted back one sentence at 7 in the morning. Do not show up at my job again. That's it. Deleted everything else without reading because I can't do the whiplash. My dad texted okay mija like 20 minutes later. My mom said nothing. I went to a showing that afternoon for a room in a house, and it was wild because it's almost exactly what I wanted. It's a little old Craftsman that smells like coffee and pine sol, 5 minutes from work if you take the back road by the stadium. The landlord is this super soft-spoken retired teacher who keeps lemon drops in a jar, and the room actually has 2 windows and a little built-in bookshelf that made my heart do a thing. Shared bath, but the other girl, Jess, is a travel nurse who's gone half the month, and the third room is empty because the old tenant moved out to live with her girlfriend. I met Jess for like 10 minutes and we ended up talking about Animal Crossing, and she said if you move in can you water my monstera when I'm on nights, and I immediately pictured myself coming home and watering a big plant, and it made me weirdly emotional. The landlord asked for first and last and a deposit, and I just told him I needed 24 hours. He said take your time. He also asked for 2 references, and for the first time in my whole life I didn't think about my mom. I texted my boss and my aunt. Both said yes. My boss actually wrote back about time you get your own place, kid. I cried in my car again. I cry in my car a lot lately apparently. Since I was already out, I swung by the DMV because I wanted to make sure my car title was in my name and not like we decided it's under dad because insurance. It is in my name. The insurance wasn't. My dad had taken me off the policy after I left, and I didn't know until I got a very friendly letter last week that said proof of insurance required or registration may be suspended. That could have been so bad. I bought a bare bones liability plan on my phone in the waiting room and felt like the most adult person in the world, and then almost had a panic attack because of how expensive it was. I called my boyfriend and he talked me down and told me it was a first month sting and after that it gets better. He also sent me $50 with the memo for your plant watering services. He's dumb and I like him a lot. I forgot to say, the dog, I took him for the weekend again because I told my dad I would if he was okay with it. He was weird about it at first until I said I was taking him to the vet for his skin because he's been scratching himself raw and I couldn't stand seeing him like that even if it's normal for this time of year. My dad handed over his little harness like he was surrendering a child to summer camp. We went to the vet and guess what? Fleas. Not a lot, but enough. They gave him a medicated bath and a flea pill and he looked so offended in the tub and then so happy after. We went back to my grandparents and he fell asleep on my feet under the table like he used to when he was a puppy, and I swear my grandpa took like 9 pictures of us from different angles. Dropping him back off at my parents' on Sunday was weird, because my mom opened the door and did a soft "oh hi puppy" voice, and then looked at me and said you look tired. I said I am. She nodded like she wanted to say something else, then didn't, and closed the door. No lecture. No hug ambush. Just that. It felt like a truce you don't trust. Sunday night my aunt called and asked me to come to dinner at my grandparents' because everyone was going to be there, and she said it with that tone that told me it was a setup. I said I would come if it was just the 4 of us. She sighed and said your your grandparents, yes. That's what it was. We ate sopa and laughed about nothing, and then my grandma, because she can't help herself, said I told your mother she cannot show up at your work, and then smacked her hand on the table for emphasis. She told my mom no sees ridicula and that if she keeps it up se te va ir la niña para siempre. My grandpa didn't look at anyone when she said that, just kept eating, which is his way of being very loud. I love them. I also hate that they're stuck in the middle of this mess. Later that night my dad texted me asking to get coffee, just the 2 of us. I stared at it for like 10 minutes because every time I picture it just us with him it ends with him choosing my mom. We met at the Panera by the freeway because it's bright and in public. He got there before me and he looked smaller than I remember. We did that awkward half hug where your shoulders don't touch. He said he was sorry for the school thing. He said he told mom it was a bad idea and that it made me look bad at work and they should have respected that. He also did the dad thing and said I'm proud of you, right? I didn't say anything because I honestly didn't know what to do with that sentence in that moment. He said he lets mom take the lead and that hasn't always been good for us, and I started crying again, which is annoying because crying in Panera is cursed. He asked me point blank if I was coming back to the house, and I said no. I told him I found a place I really like and I'm going to sign if my references pass. He nodded and said okay, and then do you need help with a deposit? I told him no because I had just closed the account and had the money. He looked relieved and also kind of sad. We talked about my brother's graduation and also about if I want the set of pots he bought me last Christmas because he's been using them and he swears he's not attached. It was the most normal talk we've had in months. When I left, he did that thing where he put his hand on the hood of my car like he's blessing it. I drove away feeling like a balloon held by a string. I signed the lease the next day. I'm moving in 2 weeks. I stood in that empty room and watched dust float in the window light and I thought, this is mine. I texted my aunt to ask if she could come with me to pick up a cheap dresser. She said yes and also sent me 15 Facebook Marketplace listings that were ugly, but she was excited, so I thanked her anyway. I told my boyfriend he cannot bring his gaming chair because it looks like a transformer. He said fair. This morning my mom texted me a paragraph about a family meeting with the pastor on Saturday. I read it twice. I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet because the idea of sitting in a circle while she cries and everyone looks at me like I'm the one who broke the vase is not appealing. I said I would meet for breakfast with her and my dad in a neutral place next week to set boundaries if she wants to, no ambushes, no yelling, no touching me if I say no, and if she starts it I will get up and leave. I said it calmly. She responded with we'll see. So we'll see. I feel like every day is me pulling a thread and something else unravels, but it's also like I can breathe? I wake up at my grandparents' house and my grandma is humming at 6 a.m. and the dog is not scratching because he's not there, and I make my own coffee, and nobody tells me to get up at 10:45 like I'm in basic training. I go to work and I'm good at it. The kids like me. I ate a microwaved burrito on the floor of my new empty room and I have never felt more like a person. It's not perfect. I'm scared. I'm tired. I cried in a Panera like a weirdo. But I'm moving forward. And when I put the deposit down, and I signed my name, and I hit confirm on renter's insurance because look at me being responsible, I didn't think about them. I thought about me. And it felt like a little miracle, which I guess is all growing up is anyway. Update 4. I moved. I'm writing this on my mattress on the floor with my laptop balanced on an upside-down laundry basket because my nightstand is still in my aunt's trunk waiting for a strong nephew to materialize. The house smells like coffee and old wood and lemon cleaner because the landlord came by in the morning to make sure the latch isn't sticking and left a handful of lemon drops on the kitchen counter like I'm 9 and just got my shots. My room is smaller than I remembered with furniture actually inside it, but somehow it feels bigger too. The light hits the little built-in at around 4 and the whole wall glows like a toaster. My aunt cried exactly once and only when we got the headboard stuck in the bend of the staircase and it made that awful scraping sound and she was convinced we'd ruin the banister and I had to remind her, Tia, the banister is already 90 years old, we didn't do anything new to it. She took a deep breath, said, okay, and then shoved it like she was storming a castle and it popped free. My boyfriend showed up late with iced coffees and a rug that he swears he didn't steal from his mom. He also brought 1 million Allen wrenches in a sandwich bag like a traveling IKEA surgeon. A neighbor from across the street, white beard, cargo shorts, name is Roy, watched us fight with the dresser for 20 minutes and eventually wandered over, asked if we wanted a dolly. He said dolly like it was a magic spell and we all cheered like he pulled a rabbit from a hat. We got the dresser up. Only 2 knobs snapped off, and honestly, I like it better mismatched. Jess is exactly who she was the first time, just more comfortable in her own kitchen. She showed me which drawer is communal utensils and which is mystery lids we're emotionally attached to, and wrote milk of the house on a post-it and stuck it on the oat milk because apparently sometimes she buys it and sometimes the universe provides. She has a cat I didn't know about because he lives mostly in her room when she's home since he's a shy little cloud, and his name is Noodles. I met him at 2 a.m. by accident when I got up to pee and he stared at me from the hallway like, "What are you doing in my corridor?" I whispered I live here and he blinked slowly, which I took as official acceptance. The first night, I didn't sleep super well because every house has its own soundtrack and I haven't learned the cues yet. The water heater kicks like a horse at midnight. The front door sticks if it's humid. There's a weird chirp that's either a cricket in the vents or one smoke detector doing Morse code for help me. I FaceTimed my boyfriend like a middle schooler at a slumber party, and he put his phone down on his pillow and let me listen to him click through Animal Crossing while I stared at the ceiling, and at some point the ceiling stopped being terrifying and just became mine. Breakfast with my parents happened and it was as exhausting as you're imagining but also very ordinary, which somehow made it worse. We met at a place where all the plates are the size of sleds and the coffee is hot for approximately 3 seconds and then tastes like ash. My dad ordered French toast like he always does. My mom asked the waitress for something not greasy and then did the little eye roll when the options were pancakes or eggs. I set my phone face down and told them what I told you I would tell them. Keep it calm, no yelling, no touching me if I say no. My dad nodded immediately. My mom smiled like she was on stage, and for 10 minutes we were actual human beings talking about actual things. I told them I moved. I told them where, not the exact address, but the area. I told them my landlord's a retired teacher and that the house is quiet and that I'm close to work so I'm on time even when I hit every red light. My dad asked if my car insurance got sorted and we even did the thing where he pretended not to try to pay the bill and I pretended not to notice. It derailed because it was always going to. I said no unannounced visits, and my mom inhaled sharply like I'd slapped her and said we are your parents, like that sentence is a master key that opens every door. I said, and I am an adult, and my voice did the calm thing it does when it's about to do the trembling thing, and I hate that about my voice. She started in about honor and respect, and then the part she cannot help, which is you think you're better than us now, which. Girl, I grabbed my coffee and my jacket and told them I was going to go because this is what I said would happen if it got there. My dad put his fork down. My mom said, "What, you're leaving?" Like the light switch broke on and off. I said, "I told you the rules." She touched my forearm when I reached for my keys and I said, "Don't," and she actually pulled back. It was like a muscle memory thing for her and she caught herself. I left. My hands were shaking by the time I got to the car and I sat there and breathed until I could turn the key and not stall. Work got weird for a minute because the principal called me in on Monday. I thought I was in trouble because that's my default, but he mostly wanted to check in after homecoming gate and make sure I felt safe. He had a piece of paper with fancy letterhead and asked me if I wanted to file a no trespass for my mother specifically. He said it didn't mean anyone was getting arrested, it just meant if she shows up again and refuses to leave, they can make her leave without the song and dance. He said it's like a boundary the school can hold for me when I'm there as an employee. I stared at the paper like it was a bomb and I think he saw my brain melting because he said, "You don't have to decide right now," and he put it back in the folder. I went back at lunch and signed it. I told my dad because I don't like ambushes and he said I understand, and also I'll make sure she doesn't test it. And then he sent me a picture of the pots he swears he's not attached to on the stove with chilies roasting in them, like he was trying to trick me into picking them up sooner. The pastor thing came back around the way mold comes back under a sink if you don't actually fix the leak. She texted me a time in a room and the words reconciliation circle and I saw it. I put my phone face down. I taught my classes, I ate a granola bar in my car like a mouse, and then I called my grandma. She said, "No Vias if your heart says no," and then, because she is incapable of not being funny when she's trying to be serious, she said, "But if you do go, put Vicks on your chest so you don't catch anyone's bad air." I did not go. My mom sent me a paragraph full of Bible verses like tiny daggers. I sent back one sentence, "I will meet you again when you can talk to me, not at me." She read it and didn't respond for a day and then sent me a picture of the dog asleep with his tongue out like a shoelace and wrote, "He misses you," which is the most manipulative and also the most effective thing she's done all month because obviously I went and picked him up for the afternoon. We sat on my floor and he listened to me tell him about renter's insurance. He loved it. Speaking of the dog, his skin looks so much better. I bought the flea meds in bulk because they were cheaper that way and put 3 months worth in a Ziploc with his name on it and a post-it that said 1 a month with food because that's how you have to talk to my dad about the dog or he forgets and then the dog itches until he's bald. I knocked and my dad opened the door and just took the bag like I was handing off evidence. He said, "Thank you," and didn't try to trap me on the porch in a conversation about how this is all so hard. My mom was somewhere in the house. I could hear her talking to someone on the phone loudly and false laughing. It felt like walking past a beehive and praying you don't smell like a flower. My older brother called me around 10 on Tuesday night, which scared me because he never calls at 10 unless someone is in the hospital or he needs a ride from somewhere he shouldn't be. He said he had been thinking about it, which is male for I don't know how to start this sentence, and then apologized for being MIA. He said he hates drama. I said same. He said he's proud of me, which tripped a wire in my chest and I just let the words sit there between us. Then he asked if I could come to his kid's birthday on Sunday and I said yes, even though I haven't been going to family things because my mom's definition of family is very selective. He said it's at the park and there will be cake and I can leave whenever I want. He also said he has a truck if I need to pick up anything heavy, and I immediately sent him a screenshot of a $30 Craigslist sofa that looks like it's seen some things and he responded absolutely not. We laughed like we were children again for exactly 9 seconds and then he said Mom's gonna be there, and I said I figured, and we left it at that. I'll go for my niece and I will bring a soccer ball and hide behind it if I have to. There was a small disaster in the kitchen that felt like an initiation. I tried to make rice and burn it so aggressively the smoke alarm had a full opera solo. Noodles teleported under the couch in a single fluid movement. Jess came out in one sock waving a dish towel and yelling open a window, open a window, open a window, and the landlord texted, "All good downstairs?" with a smiley face that somehow did not feel passive aggressive. I scrubbed the pot like I was trying to erase a crime scene and then we stood around the sink eating avocado toast at 11 at night and talking about nothing important. She told me about a patient who didn't speak English and tried to tip her with a mango. I told her my grandma would absolutely tip someone with a mango if she could. We both laughed until Noodles inched out like a ghost and tapped my ankle with his nose, which I think means we are really friends now. My boss put me on a morning shift this week and I don't hate it because I get to be the person unlocking things and turning on lights and it feels like permission to be the first one in. A kid I used to tutor ran up to me yesterday and asked if I was the lady from the parking lot video, and my stomach fell out of my body for a second until he clarified that it was a clip his cousin posted of the SRO escorting people off campus and he's been recutting it with music to make it look like a movie trailer. I told him please make me look cool if he does and he said you already do, which made me feel 17 and invincible and also old and responsible in a new way. My landlord showed me how to turn off the water at the street if anything goes weird in the middle of the night, and then handed me a tiny brass key for the little mailbox in front like he was inviting me into a secret club. There was a letter with my name on it inside that was just junk, but I put it on the shelf anyway because seeing my name with this address does something warm to my spine. Jess left a note on the corkboard that says trash night is Tuesday, we rotate, yes it sucks, we do it anyway, and highlighted my name for next week. It feels nice to be part of a schedule that's not someone else's temper. The weirdest, most surprising thing happened at my grandparents' yesterday. My mom showed up, no warning. She came in quietly, which is not her usual entrance, and sat at the table while my grandma and I were shelling peas like we were in some agrarian novel. She asked if she could talk to me for a minute and my grandma did not move, just kept shelling, which was the funnest power move I've ever seen performed with legumes. My mom said she was sorry she came to my work. She said she got caught up and forgot where the line was. She did not say I'm sorry I hurt you, but she said she shouldn't have done that. Then she asked if she could see my room. I said no. Not now. Maybe one day if things are okay for a long time. Her face did something complicated, like anger tried to come out and got lost on the way. She nodded. She asked if I needed anything. I said I'm okay. Then she changed the subject and asked if my boss was still that lady with the red hair and told my grandma she looks flaca and tried to give her a protein shake like she was doing community service. The whole encounter lasted 5 minutes maybe, but it felt like someone loosened a knot I didn't know how to reach. When she left, my grandma said bien under her breath, which is Spanish for we are not talking about it anymore because we do not want to ruin it by looking at it directly. I did go to the park for my niece. It was all dinosaur plates and sticky hands and my brother grilling without really knowing how and pretending he does. My mom stayed near the cake. I stayed near the swings. My niece ran to me like I had candy and then pretended to need help with her shoelaces just so I'd tie them the way she likes, double bow. My mom and I nodded at each other from across a folding table like acquaintances at a bus stop. It felt anticlimactic and holy at the same time. My dad handed me a paper plate with a corner piece and said take it home, which is his love language, and I did. When I got back to my house, I set the cake on the counter and watered Jess's monstera and there's a new leaf unfurling that wasn't there last week, perfect and weird and bright. The rug my boyfriend brought makes the room look like a place someone lives instead of a storage unit you sleep in. We danced like idiots to a song that makes no sense with 2 slices of grocery store birthday cake on paper towels because I don't own dessert forks yet. I took a shower and the water pressure is exactly right and the whole bathroom smelled like eucalyptus because Jess hangs those bundles from the shower head like a witch who works at Sephora. I sat on the floor of my room and read the lease again because I like seeing my name on a legal paper where the only adult bossing me around is me. It's not like the movies where you cross a line and then everything is easy, but the line's behind me. I can feel it. I haven't blocked my mom, I haven't forgiven her. I'm somewhere in the middle, a little fragile, a little feral, and learning what to do with quiet that doesn't feel like punishment. I wake up before my alarm sometimes now, not because someone is demanding I be up by 10:45 but because the birds outside are loud and dumb and I kind of love them for it. I make coffee in a chipped mug that used to live at my grandparents' and for the first sip I stand in the spot by the window where the light hits my toes. I'm learning the sequence of keys on my ring and how the front door sounds when I lock it behind me and the shape of my neighborhood under different kinds of sky. Every time I come around the corner and see the porch, I feel that little miracle again like a hiccup in my chest. And I keep going. I put out the trash on Tuesday. I water the plant. I say no and I mean it. I mean it more than I ever have.